Today we're going to take a look at what it's like to drive the new Pioneer 1000 6-seater Deluxe Crew Cab side-by-side model that was just released by Honda. Now if you missed my deep dive video into this new utility vehicle, I highly suggest checking it out, as that's where we go into a lot of the nitty-gritty details while showing you the machine up close and personal, but playing with one in a parking lot will only tell you so much at the end of the day, and that's why I'm very thankful that Honda invited me out to Montana to put this new UTV through its paces and see what it's like in its natural habitat. With that being said, let's dive into some of my thoughts after driving this new Honda Pioneer 1000. We'll start off first with one of the most important things, and that's steering. This new Crew model has 50% more torque assist when comparing its electric power steering system to the rest of the Pioneer 1000 model lineup, which also had updates in the steering department last year. To say this thing steers easy and drives like a new car is an understatement, all while still providing some feedback as to what the front wheels are doing. If it were a sports side-by-side, I'd say it's a little on the numb side for my liking, but we have to keep in mind what this unit is and what it was designed for at the end of the day. And what might that be, you ask? Yes, this Pioneer Crew will be purchased by those that want to haul the entire neighborhood through the trails, but its main demographic are those that use these machines to work, whether it be on a construction site, farmers, ranchers, and so on. And they'll appreciate how easy the steering is, and its return to center function is spot on whether at high or low speeds, and needless to say, will spoil you on those days where you would normally be cranking the wheel back and forth. And speaking of cranking that wheel, Honda didn't throw their latest four-wheel drive setup that removes your locking diff in this machine that's offered on other Pioneer models. For this unit, they stuck with the tried and true locking front differential setup, and I think that was a move in the right direction. In the past, you could tell a pretty noticeable difference in steering effort once you lock the front diff, but with the Crew, it's like butter and truly is effortless, whether you have it in diff lock mode or standard four-wheel drive. And of course, steering in two-wheel drive and turf mode is so easy a toddler could do it. Next up, let's get into the engine and transmission. Now, going off of the model name, it has a 1000cc engine, obviously. Well, technically it's a 999cc parallel twin-cylinder engine that pumps out 76.8 horsepower and is shared between multiple models in Honda's lineup from 4 wheels to 2, showcasing that it's been pretty much bulletproof since day one, and that's why Honda has felt comfortable enough to throw it in so many of their flagship models since it was originally unveiled back in 2016. It's paired up with an industry-first 6-speed dual-clutch transmission, and this setup is so advanced I could spend 20 minutes talking about it alone, but I don't want to put you guys to sleep, so we'll touch on some of the highlights. First being that there are no CVT belts like you'll find on 99% of other side-by-side models for sale today. And why is that a big deal? Well, it's one thing to have a belt driving your little 49cc scooter, but when it comes to working and towing 2,500 pounds, do you want a rubber band or would you prefer a gear-driven setup? Yeah, I think I'll take the latter. And speaking of towing, the Crew is the only Pioneer model to have a tow haul mode where it'll hold a higher RPM before shifting gears, and it smooths out those shifts too while the engine is under an additional load by hauling cargo, and it works in both high and low range, unlike sport mode in the other Pioneer 1000 models. This feature can also come in handy even when you're not towing, as you may be on terrain where you need it to hold a gear a little longer than normal to take advantage of that extra RPM for climbing or engine braking and so on, whereas normally it wants to shift at a lower point for better fuel economy. Also with this transmission's features, you have the option of choosing between fully automatic mode or manual mode with the touch of a button on the dash, so you can then click up or down through the gears via paddle shifters by the steering wheel. Plus, you can leave it in auto and force the transmission to shift up or down if needed by pulling one of the paddles, so you're always in control of what the transmission is doing. And in the past, those gear shifts weren't always the smoothest, but with the most recent round of updates to the DCT system, there's a significant difference. And I know a lot of people may think I'm just saying this to appease Honda, but trust me, I've called them out on plenty of things in the past. Go drive an older Pioneer 1000 and hop in this latest generation, and you'll see it's very noticeable.
That shifts so smooth. What? It shifts smooth.
You're damn right, I'm telling you.
It's a massive difference.
Hey, I'm not sure I'm in a Pioneer if you want to go down a Crew.
Go again.
and despite her being a little on the large side when compared to other Pioneer models in the lineup, which affects your power to weight ratio, she's pretty peppy and never left me needing for more horsepower out on the trails. Would I like to see more? Oh yeah, but only because I'm an idiot that likes to go fast, no matter what I'm driving.
There is a little bit of mud at the top of here, but you can go around it if you want.
Why would I do that?
It's got enough juice to get you up over 60 miles per hour, and even though she's as long as a school bus now, it doesn't feel like it. I was surprised time and time again by just how much it feels like a regular Pioneer, and that's in part to all the work Honda put in with strengthening the one-piece frame to prevent too much flex, while also increasing the roll bar pipes thickness and tuning the damping and spring rates exclusively to this machine, so its handling wasn't affected negatively like if they were to take a standard Pioneer, stretch it, and call it a day. Which brings us to another point that a lot of people were worried about when Honda released this new machine, its turning radius. Now you would think you'd need a football field to turn this thing around, but you don't. And it's not that bad at 18.7 feet and is nowhere near the 100 yards you'll need for Honda's new upcoming Talon 1000R 4-seater that they haven't officially announced yet, that I gave you guys a sneak peek look at in a past video. But back on topic, how about comfort in the new Pioneer Crew? Getting in and out is as easy as it comes with no real effort needed, and once you're rolling, it's hard to imagine having a softer ride without the negative effects from a plush ride brought along with it. Yes, it's not a sport machine, so you won't be sending it through the air, hitting whoops in the desert at 100 miles an hour, or doing some of the gnarly stuff you see with the other units, but for the purpose this Crew was built for, I think Honda nailed its ride quality and its overall mannerisms, making this unit's handling very predictable at the end of the day, all while still being something you can have a little fun with by slinging it around here and there when you're not working. When it comes to seating, up front and in the rear you have bench seats, and in my opinion, they could be a tad more comfy, but they're still light years ahead of some of the other seats Honda pumps out, so I won't give them too hard of a time there. I would love to see some sort of adjustability brought in though, as the seats are in no way adjustable. It is what it is, with your only adjustments for comfort boiling down to the tilt steering wheel. Now, one of the biggest things I wish Honda would address, and this may be just me thinking this, but I'd like to see more leg and foot room for the driver. After a few hours of driving, I found myself wishing that I had some more leg space to move my feet around, and the dead pedal helps a little bit, but only so much with its placement. However, this is going to be different for everyone, so it may not bother you. Now, with that being said, the one place I was never in need of more legroom, surprisingly, was in the back seat. Thanks to its best-in-class legroom with 28 inches of knee space, I can stretch my legs out if needed, and without a doubt, it's the best seat in the house. Which also leads us to storage. Now, I covered all of the storage in depth in my other review video, so make sure you check that out, but on this day I actually got to put these storage areas to use. Initially, I thought the big gaping hole in the front seat was a little odd, but throughout the day I found it very useful in that I could reach down while driving and easily grab stuff I had stored under the seat earlier. Plus all of the other storage from under the dash to the tubs under the front and rear seats that come standard, since this is a deluxe model, really make life easier on you, as let's face it, storage has never been a strong suit for Honda in the past, but those days have changed. It's the same story when it comes to the bed too, with Honda changing it up and adding features to help you out on the job. With it not only having a 1,000-pound capacity dump bed and load leveling rear suspension help keep it level despite the load you may be hauling around, and it also has a 12-volt power outlet in the bed for any tools you may need to send power to. Plus, you have a ton of Honda-built accessory options out there for the Pioneer 1000 Crew to fine-tune this machine and ultimately make it better suited for the type of riding and or work that you'll be using this machine to help out with. Now, if there was any information you think I may have missed out on regarding this new UTV or details that you want to know about that weren't covered in this particular video, check out my other deep dive on it where we break down everything else you need to know before buying a new side-by-side, and there's plenty more Pioneer 1000 Crew Cab content on the way, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. With that being said, thanks for watching and helping support all this, guys, as without your support I wouldn't get invited out to experience these units in the real world, and big thanks to Honda and Jana Media as well for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for everything, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.